Hi, everybody. Cynthia Bazin from Smart Chick Laser Focus Mentoring. I want to say thank you so much for joining in live or catching this on the replay. For those of you that are watching this on Facebook or YouTube or anywhere else on social media, I appreciate you joining in. Is that today's broadcast is a good one. It is on a subject that, you know what, we all struggle with from time to time. And so I appreciate you coming in, and I hope that you will get at least a few nuggets that you can apply to your personal or professional life. Today's broadcast is how to be more disciplined in your goals. And that, you know what, we all struggle with it, like I said. And so I have an amazing guest that I'm going to introduce into the room in a second. There is nobody better that can talk about this subject with me than Regan Black, who is an amazing author and a great friend of mine. So what I want to do is I want to introduce her in. And Regan, you are now in the room. Say hello.
Hey, everybody. How's it going? It's such a pleasure to be here, Cynthia. Thank you for having me join you on this today.
It's been way too long, Regan.
Yeah, it has been. We haven't done this in, way too long. Way too long.
So super excited. So I know in Be Live sometimes you cannot see the comments that are coming up. So I want to just say hello to a couple people that have already joined in. Susan White is saying, I totally need this today. So yay. Thanks, Susan. You're going to get some golden nuggets today. And Gail Foley just joined in and said, okay, I made it. Hey, awesome one. So hey. And Joshua Ello is here. Thank you so much, Joshua, for being here. All right. We know your time is valuable. Our time is valuable. We got to stay disciplined on our goals. So we're going to get right to this broadcast. So first, Regan, I want everybody to get the opportunity to understand who you are, whatever you want to tell yourself, and really kind of like a little bit of your background on how many books, how many stuff, that you've done. So go ahead, introduce yourself to everybody.
Okay, thank you, Cynthia. I'm Regan Black. I'm an author. I've been published, made my first sale back in 2004, and I have been published consistently ever since then. I recently turned in my 39th novel, and it is actually my 91st publication. So publications include short stories, novellas, nonfiction, things like that. And on top of all that, I can blog consistently and interact and things like that. So if you added up all the words in a day, it might be a little more intimidating. I try not to think about everything that's not on a page. So you can find me at reganblack.com. All my books are listed there. And I've had an opportunity to work with some really great authors, get some really good mentorship along the way from Cynthia and then other authors in my own field in the publishing industry. And that has all helped develop this pattern, this, if you will, of productivity.
So everybody, let me just again say what Regan was saying is that, you know what, how many of you are trying to get your first book done? And this amazing lady has published 39 novels and has 91 completed works. In addition, don't you have a family, Regan? Or
I do.
Just like, are you right?
Yeah, exactly. Life happens to everybody, and that's one of those things. It's like, oh, well, that'd be really, and it's really, I think we all fall into this trap of, well, the grass is greener over there. Her kids are out of the house. Her kids are little. It's just her and her husband. It's just her and the dogs. Whatever it is, the grass is always greener on the other side of the computer screen,
right?
And somebody else's life. But yes, I am a wife and a mother of two. They'll be 25 and 22 in a matter of weeks.
Oh, wow.
So one is out of college with her master's and one is finishing his master's. And of course, Bandit, if you know me at all online, you've seen Bandit either in Bandit's book club or some of the other things going on. I'm always sharing my writing buddy, Bandit, my retired greyhound, and cats. So everybody's got something going on, but they keep me on.
Absolutely. But what that kind of shows, Regan, is that you are a real person with, deadlines, which we're going to be talking about. And, you've got a lot of stuff going on. And so between, Regan and I, and for those of you that don't kind of know, everything that's going on. A lot of you come on here to Facebook Live. You see me here. You know me as a laser focused kick in the duff mentor, just to give you a little bit of background of kind of the stuff that I work with each and every day. And again, you know, we're no different. You have busy lives, we have busy lives, but this kind of gets to show you that, you know what, we can relate, and we've got a lot of things we need to juggle, and we're not perfect. So that's, you know, what the gist of this broadcast is today. So obviously, I've owned my mentoring company since 2011. I'm a full-time speaker. Right now, I'm preparing for 5 presentations to do next week, which is just crazy. So, but you know what? So that's going on. In addition, I do full-time marketing for a real estate firm here in California. And I also am a mentoring coordinator for a volunteer organization out here called HEART, Homeless Assistance Resource Team, and have 2 kids in college and have a husband and blah, blah, blah. So you know what? There's lots to juggle, and we got to take care of ourselves and sleep, right? Right?
Once in a while.
Once in a while. So you know what? Yeah, none of us are perfect, but you know what? Between what Regan and I are going to be talking about today, hopefully we're going to help you with some things having to do with discipline. So, you know, why is it so important, Regan, you know what, to come up with some good strategies having to do with discipline? I mean, do you struggle with it? I'm kind of assuming you struggle with it at times. Do you?
Oh, sure. I mean, I think all of us, and please forgive me for sipping tea and sipping water and all of this. I have this lovely thing that we call an allergy situation. So I've got this allergy throat going on. So forgive me for all the frogginess going on. But I think we do have to have strategies, and this is a prime example. You know, Allergy Head is a prime example of needing a strategy. Hey, Beth, I'm glad you made it. It's really important when you have a discipline strategy, when you know what you need to get done, when you have a plan, when things intervene, it's easier to recover. I think that's the key. So it's like, if you know, what's shiny and new is always distracting, and it always will be. But if you have a plan that is, you know, and we'll talk about this as we get in, tailored to your priorities and what you need to accomplish, once you decide your priorities and have a plan for that, then even when life intervenes, it's easier to get back on track. Does that make sense?
Excellent. Yes. So one of the things that we're talking about now is that, you know, Regan says that she struggles, and we all struggle, right? Sometimes, you know what, we're so good, we're disciplined in one area, but we're not disciplined in another. So Regan may be super, super disciplined in her writing, but she may be not as disciplined in another area. And so I kind of ask you all is that I want you to think about this right now, and I want you to write it down on a piece of paper if you can. What is the one area that you struggle with? And I want you to get your questions ready for us, okay? Because we're going to go through some stuff. But if you have a question throughout the broadcast, feel free to post it, and I will try to intervene, and we'll try to answer as many questions as possible live. And if you're here on the replay, if you could do me a favor, put hashtag replay for those of you that come in later to let us know you watched it on the replay, and feel free to ask some questions there as well, all right? So a plan, we all struggle. Sometimes we're really good at one thing discipline-wise, and other times we struggle with something else. So what I want to do is just really kind of get into the nitty-gritty, Regan, and just start going with some, you know, hot tips to apply, you know, to help people apply to their own life. So what do you think is one of the main things in order for you to stay disciplined on a goal?
A deadline.
Okay.
I mean, having deadlines really, that'll dial in your priority. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, she's an author, of course she has deadlines. Whatever you do, there's a deadline.
Mm-hmm.
There is a deadline. I mean, things have to be done. Whatever type of work you're in, things need to be done in order to progress. Mm-hmm. So when I'm looking at a book schedule, just to take that for an example, it's like, okay, this book needs to be turned in on this. And I back it up as to, okay, it has to go to the editor here. It has to go to the, I have to be in revisions at this point. I have to be done with the draft. I kind of work my schedule backwards, and that sets my priorities. Okay. So when I'm setting that schedule, I look at, oh, I've got 2 birthdays this week, or I've got a family reunion, or whatever it is. And I adjust my schedule, my production schedule, around those things that already are there, and around what needs to be done. And
okay, so let's stop there. let's stop there. We'll let your throat, you can get some tea. And so thank you so much, Ken, for sharing out. Everyone, please, if you wouldn't mind, if you know our energy and you know the content that we bring here every single week, if you wouldn't mind sharing this out, because it will help you, it will help your friends and family. So, you know, Regan's talking about deadlines, right? And so you might be a little bit confuzzled right now going, you know what? I'm trying to just get healthy. What do you mean by like a deadline having to do with my health? You know, and I just want to get fit. I want to get, you know, healthy and that sort of thing. Is that maybe you're getting a baseline test of your cholesterol, blood pressure, right? It could be your BMI, your body mass index, right? Is that maybe you're going to doctor to get all of your numbers, and that's a starting point, and you work with your doctor and you say, okay, 2 months from now, I want these levels to go down, or I want these levels to improve, right? Does that make sense, everybody? Right, Regan?
Exactly.
You know, if it's, you know, getting fit, you know, maybe it's, you know, feeling good and being able to fit into some clothes, you know, that you've been wanting to fit into by a certain period of time. If it's, let's see, what are some other goals, Regan? Some real life goals that people have that you could, you know, relate to having to do with the deadline? Maybe it's starting a business, maybe, right?
Yeah, starting a business, or I want to advance my business at this point. You know, I'm looking at some different options right now as well. And it's like, okay, well, I want to make sure that I have this first piece of the puzzle in place here because I'm targeting out. So a business is, you know, just like your health goals, you need to know where you are and you need to know where you want to be. And then you need to realize, I think another thing about discipline, especially in something like a health goal, you know, that's long-term, or a business option that's long-term, it's easier to break it down and be disciplined for a short period of time and super laser focus for a short period of time on one piece of that puzzle. And then know that you're going to build on that puzzle. So if it's fitness, I want to be able to walk a mile and not be out of breath. I have a goal of, okay, in a month, I want to be able to walk a mile and not be out of breath. Okay. And you know what you need to do. You can work there. You know, you have your starting point, you have your goal, and you work forward. And it's those little steps, don't you think, Cynthia, along the way that keep you motivated and I think that's a big part of discipline, is finding the right motivator. Wouldn't you say? Is that kind of where you're thinking?
Yeah, you know what? There's so many things that you are saying in this. And everybody, if you are getting something out of this, if you're enjoying the content, please put some comments. Please share this out. We want to hear if we're going in the right place having to do with this broadcast. Yeah, you're saying so many different things. Is that one of the things that I truly see from people that work with me and don't work with me, is that I see the total burnout. Is that when people say, you know what, I'm going to get in shape. And I know we've got our fitness guru, Beth Hoover, here today. What they try to do is they try to do everything at once. And Beth, you tell me if you agree with that, is that all of a sudden it's like radical, you know what I mean? And instead of just trying to run or walk a half a mile to a mile, they're trying to do 10 miles. And they're, you know, totally eating clean, they're fasting and all this kind of stuff. And guess what ends up happening? It just totally, they get tired of it. They burn out, and you know what, then they totally stop. And so it's sort of the same thing with your writing, right, Regan? You're going to have to pace yourself, because otherwise, if you try to just consistently work 24 hours a day, you are going to totally burn out, and you're going to start hating what you do, right?
Exactly. You don't want to. I guess one of the things people ask me, well, why do you write so many books? How can you possibly do this? What do you possibly do? And no, this broadcast isn't all about books. My point on this, to come back with what Cynthia's saying, is to keep the joy in it.
Ah, yes.
I might have 6 books on my schedule this year, but if I do nothing but spend the first 6 months writing those books and not doing anything else, you know, oh, great, the blinders are on, I've written my 6 books, I'm going to be burned out. If you have, and you're going to lose the joy. You know, it's like, okay, I'm going to be fit, so I'm going to go run 10 miles. Trust me, if you haven't run a mile yet, you're going to just jump out there and run 10 miles. There won't be any joy when you're done, and you're going to quit. That's that burnout. So I think a lot of what we're trying to point is, yes, exactly. Make small, realistic goals. Thank you. That's exactly what it is. And it's finding the joy in those baby steps, honestly. You break it down, and you can stay joyful in those baby steps. People think, well, Regan, you must write all day, every day. No, I really don't. I would love to write all day, every day. And yet on the days when I can do that, there comes a point in mid-afternoon where I'm just shot. I might start writing first thing in the morning, and by mid-afternoon, I'm just sort of floating around here in space. And, and I have to take that break, and that's finding that balance. And then once I've taken the break and you get that balance in there, and then the joy comes back again, right?
So, I always like to try to get into the minds of the people that are here live and on the replay, right? So, I know that somebody is saying, you know what? Yeah, there's those type of goals that, we, love to do. We need to move forward in our business. We need to move forward in our health, in our, whatever sort of goal we have. But I'm undisciplined on the things I hate to do as well. So I'll give an example, is that one of the things that I really don't like to do is paperwork. Meaning this, I don't like to do my financial stuff. I don't, it's not one of those things that bring me joy. So no matter what you say, Regan, I'm not going to be like, keep the joy and doing my tax work and doing, paperwork and all that kind of stuff. There is no joy in it, right? So if you are thinking right now, there's some things that you constantly let go. I hate, house cleaning. I hate doing paperwork. I hate, grocery shopping. Then I kind of think that you have to think of the dire consequences of not doing it little by little. So for example, is that when I don't keep up on my paperwork, then guess what? All of a sudden I'm spending an entire weekend, while everybody else is doing something fun or hanging outside, I'm in there buried in paperwork, overwhelmed, when I could have established a system to get it done in an easier way, right? So for those things that you don't like to do, are there some things that you don't like to do, Regan?
Oh, numbers. Right? I hate taxes. I hate the report, all that stuff.
just let me write, right?
Yeah, exactly. I would love it if it was just that simple. Just write and be done. But for me, you think of dire consequences. I don't want to spend a whole weekend doing it. For me, it's much the same. It's sort of a risk reward. It's like, well, if I spend an hour doing it tonight, then I'll go have a reward or do something nice for myself, watch a TV show, read a book, whatever. And that sort of offsets, because I've done it that way, with the dire consequences way, and it's a mountain. And sometimes we have to remember, when we're resistant to something we need to be disciplined about, sometimes those dire consequences moments can help us, because they're a reminder we don't want to be there again. So sometimes our experience can inform us and motivate us to put in the hour each week, as opposed to the 50 hours once a year, Right.
Absolutely.
So, I hate doing the paperwork. I'm trying to, there's a lot of stuff I'm actually resistant to. It was on my schedule to finish last week, and I pushed it off and didn't do it last week, and I have to do it this week. And it's one of the things I have to do for book prep for the publisher. And it's not a big deal. It just usually takes me anywhere from 2 to 4 hours. But it's not a piece of the process I enjoy. It's necessary. And what I try to do is remember how good I'm going to feel when it's done.
Right. Absolutely.
All the pieces I need for publication, and I can just be, when the book comes out, I know exactly what to do. But yeah, I had it on my schedule last week, and I moved it over to this week because I wasn't very disciplined about it. But it's still going to be done about 3 weeks ahead of when the publisher would normally want it. So I figure I'm okay.
For the audience that's here, and those of you that are on the replay, again, hashtag replay in the comments if you are here on that. I would love to hear, what are some of the things that you struggle with, discipline-wise? What goals, are you just like, I just, for some reason, cannot get motivated? It would really help us to understand. Is it like paperwork? Is it exercising? Is it pushing through on marketing? And why do you feel that it is? Is it just, you're lazy? Is it that, that you don't know what to do? You feel overwhelmed? what do you think is the reason that, that you might not be as disciplined as you could be, so that maybe we can tailor some of this broadcast to that. Okay. So, all right. Awesome. I hope that you're getting all some nuggets here. If you're just joining into the broadcast, Cynthia Bazin, Laser Focus Mentoring, and with my guest, Regan Black, an author who is amazing. She has just finished her 39th novel, everybody. 91 completed works, and she's a great friend of mine. And let me tell you something, it takes a lot of dedication and it takes a lot of discipline. Even though this is her work, we all know, we all have stuff we get paid for, but you know what? It takes a lot of dedication and discipline to get up each and every day. All right, so let me ask you just a question about business, entrepreneurship, even though you're contracted through, to write these books, Regan. For those people that have started a business, a lot of people come to me and say, you know what, I joined this MLM. I was told that it's easy. You know what, someone told me I would be good at this. And so I've started this business. I would like to know from you, how important do you really feel it is to be passionate and love what you do, like live and breathe it? Do you feel it's like not that important, I'm getting paid and I'm doing a job? Or do you feel for your life, you have to love what you do?
That's okay. First of all, let me say there's things about any job that we don't like. Like we use the example of paperwork and taxes and things like that. There's pieces of every job that we don't care for, no matter what it is. I do think that it is easier to get through those pieces you don't like when you have an inherent passion for the majority of what you do, when you believe in what you do. Is it absolutely, I've written paranormal romance novels. Do I believe in vampires? No, but I've written. Does that make sense? What I believe in is giving an entertaining story. I believe in taking a reader on an adventure. So I believe that entertainment is valuable and that it's important to be able to escape into another world, contemporary or vampire or whatever.
Right.
I think that's important. I think that's an aspect of balance that we all need. But, and Gail says she has to love 75% of what she does because it keeps her motivated. I think you really have to love a lot of what you do to really be powerhouse successful. I really think you do. I think without it, you fall into a trap of marking time. I think that for me, that's just my core belief. I really feel like, I've seen a lot of different businesses through my working years. And I think the people who truly believe in the why of what they're doing and how it impacts and makes a difference are the ones who are truly successful. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't love some aspect of any job you're in, but that's my belief. As an entrepreneur, I really feel like you have to believe in and love what you're doing. Like Gail said, I think Gail's got a good point, because entrepreneurship is not just the product. It's not just the MLM. It's not just the coaching, whatever your product is. It's not just that one thing. Maybe you love the people part of what you do.
Right.
Then that needs to be the core of whatever it is you do. You really have to, I think to be truly, truly successful, you have got to love something.
So let's kind of relate that. And I agree with what Gail is saying. Thank you so much for that comment, Gail. I want to show that again, is that in anything you do, it's not all peaches and roses. Like entrepreneurship is that, I'm going to be able to set my own schedule. I'm going to be helping people. But you know what? There's sales, there's marketing, there's financials, there's tax stuff. So in everything, like you just said, just to mirror what you said, is that there's some things that, are just, frustrating. And so nothing is perfect, as I always say. But yes, I would agree that 80% of the time, you want to wake up and go, okay, what am I going to do today? Not, oh my gosh, I got to write this book today, or, oh, I got to coach those clients today. Yuck, so you got to, pretty much like.
You really shouldn't be in personal coaching if you don't like people. It's kind of a good example right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So very, very important. So I want to, show some comments because people talked about what they struggled with. So I don't want the comments to go too far down without us just looking at them. So, all right. So Patricia, I think, said cleaning and organizing my office is one of those things that it's hard to be disciplined on. So I appreciate that comment there. Susan saying diet and getting my house back to order. And then Bill Roy says too many life distractions. And yeah, Beth says organizing. And then Bill says one of the reasons why it doesn't get disciplined enough is that there's always something else that seems more important, right? So yeah, that's a big struggle. Let's see. And then, yeah, that comment from Gail was really great. And Patricia says, I paint and write because I must or have to. It is me. Okay, awesome, Patricia. Let's see. And where I am disciplined, I've evaluated what's critical, what's just important, and what's extra. Good points. Anything you want to add to what some of the comments that they said?
Well, I was just going to jump on the comments we had were, organization, getting things in order, cleaning, things like that. Those are things I think it's, for me, again, the dire consequences of, oh, look, you went 6 weeks without laundry and you had to shop twice because you ran out of clothing, Okay. Right. The shopping might be fun, but the dire consequences then of doing laundry after all that time, for me to combat that, because there are several things about that I don't like, I set a timer or a time limit. If my desk is really messy and it just looks like there's too much to organize, I'll set a timer for 10 minutes and get done what I can get done in 10 minutes.
Right.
And if I have to walk away, I walk away, or I, come back to it later. But to me, setting those timers, that works on my writing as well as my organization. That's just been essential. I think sometimes we look at a big task and we get intimidated. And so we'd rather go play with whatever's shiny than a task we don't like. But if we take a few minutes to do that task, we see progress. So in tangible things like that, I think a timer is very helpful to limit it.
Yeah, absolutely. A timer, rewarding yourself, we kind of alluded to that already. So kind of, journaling it, tracking it, crossing things off. I mean, I always say this tip, but this really works for me because I'm a solopreneur, and you know what? I'm on my own. I don't have that boss going, you know what, great job, or you know what, good work on that. So I have to put a physical list together and feel the joy of actually crossing it off. So, that's, really helpful to me. So, but one of the things I want to talk about, because Regan did say about, it being joyful, is that even the things that I don't necessarily like to do, what I try to do is try to incorporate some joy into it. So one of the things that, whether it's exercise, whether it's something you struggle with, are you exercising and thinking of every step you have left to finish this walk because you cannot stand being out here? Do you have music on? You know what I mean? To distract you. Do you have a podcast on that you've been wanting to listen to while you're walking? That can help you bring some joy and get your mind off of the thing that you right now dislike doing and incorporate some joy into it. When I am cleaning, is that if it is dead silence in the house, it is just like torturous for me to clean. But I put the rock and roll music on. You know what I mean? And, get some candles going or something, break open, a water or soda, you know what I mean? Get some music on while I'm cleaning. It makes it less torturous, you know what I mean? And it allows me to do it. And yeah, go ahead, Regan. I didn't know if you want to jump in.
No, I'm right there with you. Music is a key. I mean, my family jokes with me because when it's revision time, I put the headphones in and I crank up. I don't usually write with music very often, but that's great, Tim.
Great comment, Tim.
Yeah, excellent. It's those dire consequences we were talking about, right? But I'll put in my headphones and I'll listen to stuff that's just, it's ridiculous, but it helps. It takes some of that pressure off. Yeah, music gets you moving, whatever you're doing. So I think that's an excellent tip, is to find, it's something that gives you joy. So like every book kind of has its own soundtrack based on what is working in that process.
Right. Would that help everybody as far as some of the things that you're, not disciplined on? So, the organization stuff, again, we talked about baby steps, setting a timer, putting some music on and saying, you know what, when these 3 songs are done, I'm going to get this particular area cleaned off. Or, you know what? This podcast I am saving until tomorrow morning when I'm going to go on a half an hour walk, because that podcast is 30 minutes long, right? So plan it out. Like Regan said earlier, is that have a plan of when you're going to do something. Don't overwhelm yourself, and bring some joy into it to make sure that you get it done. Go ahead, Regan.
And I was just going to add to that, when you're making your plan, figure out when you're good at different tasks.
Right.
You know, maybe, you know, I happen to be really good at writing through the morning, early afternoon. Editing, I'm much better doing editorial and marketing tasks afternoon to evening. So learn when you're good at certain things, and it will make even the tough things easier.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And, you know, Beth's got a great comment there. You can multitask with exercise. You know, several authors, I'm always jealous of the authors who talk about having treadmill desks. I'm like, oh, that sounds like a great idea. And then I remember that's the wrong thing for my particular situation. But it's that kind of thing. You can find ways to multitask, but I really think it's also important to know when you're good at something. And to try your best to do that activity in that time frame. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know?
So yeah, and Tim is saying about the, you know, the time period, about how he likes to write in the middle of the night. Tim, I'm sleeping. I'm the one that gets up early when you're just going to bed. So for me, you know, it's like, again, people think it's crazy, but you know what? It works for me. I'm up at 3:30 in the morning having coffee, and I'm like working on my hardest tasks. That works for me. But if you tell me to do something that, you know what, I hate doing at 3, 4 o'clock, 5, 6 o'clock at night, there's no way I'm going to stay disciplined in doing it. So things like exercise, I have to do it first thing in the morning. That's when my energy level is up. The hardest tasks, my mind is more fresh in the morning. Afternoon, forget about it. I'm like, the head is bobbing. I need another cup of coffee. So I try to keep it as light as possible in the afternoon. So you got to know your peaks and your valleys as far as your energy, like what Regan is saying.
And I think it's also important, that kind of plays to your priorities. You know when you are best able to handle your toughest tasks. So if you know what your job is, you know, the stuff that keeps you fed and a roof over your head, when you know that those, yeah, everyone's different, right? When you know what the core parts of your job are, you know when to make those a priority and when to fit them into your schedule when you're strongest. You know, maybe you're terrible at making cold calls until you've had 2 cups of coffee. I wouldn't recommend going into the office and making cold calls before you've had 2 cups of coffee. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So if there's things that you hate, you can minimize and figure out when to put them in. But if there's things that are really core to your business, do them when you're at your peak.
I like that, Jim, that writing helps you get away from social media and relax. Writing is therapeutic, right? So that's one of those things that, you know what, it can be a business thing, but it also can be a shutdown thing. You know what I mean? To be able to relax the mind from your day-to-day grind, which is so important as far as your discipline goes, is that, you know, I hear a lot of people, which, you know, it's really motivating to say, you know what, I love my work. My work is my life. You know what, I do it 24 hours a day and I just love it. And you know what, that's awesome that you love your work. But, you know, like, really, do you have any other things going on in your life? And I truly believe that people that are the obsessed, the people that do this, at one point or the other, you're going to have this breaking down, or physically you're going to break down. And so I think it's really important, in order for you to keep that discipline up for the long term, you got to have other things going on in your life and breaking things up. Not having, as I always say, you're never going to have complete balance, but you got to have some level of harmony in your life.
Yeah, I think, you know, I think that's essential, because we can't just be going, you know, this happens to me with my books. It's like, oh, I'm just so into it on this. But you have to have something to offset that. You have to think about letting your mind rest, as well as your body. Or, you know, sometimes, so I'll usually wait till mid-afternoon for my workout, because it's a really great way to make the transition from life with my characters to life with my family. Does that make sense? So a lot of times I'll take a yoga break when the words are done. I'll go upstairs, take a yoga break, do some exercise, stretch out, take it easy. And then I'm able to make that transition to family time more effectively because of that balance of it's just a nice signal. And I think it gives my brain time to rest, and then I have my family time and I can get back to it. You're refreshed.
Awesome, Regan. So taking a pause, everybody, we hope, first of all, we want to say thank you so much for the support coming in here live. And those of you that are on the replay, please put #replay. Appreciate being here. I hope you're motivated. I hope you're getting something out of this. But something that I'm always saying on Periscope, and I know Regan is really passionate about this, is that we all want you to just really think about that one goal that you're not disciplined in, that you need to get better, and start, right? Start and take a couple of these things. I want you to write them down, catch us on the replay, and say, you know what? I am going to set a deadline. I'm going to get a strong why my goal is so important. Or, I need to not overwhelm myself with this huge lofty goal that totally is overwhelming and it's going to make me burn out. I'm going to set more realistic goals, SMART goals, right? The acronym there is that, chunking it up, rewarding yourself along the way. There's been a ton of tips here. One of the things that, oh gosh, it just shot out of my head, but that's okay. It's all right. Do you have any other tips, Regan? It will come back to me.
Well, I think we've done a lot. I think a lot of people think of discipline as a negative word, and I think discipline can be a very positive word. I think it's something that, we all have things that we're really good at, and we have no problem ticking off those things. And the things that we're bad at, or we're weaker in, or we're resistant to, sometimes, I think it helps to know why we're resistant. Is it just because I don't want to clean the whole house because the whole house is too big, or I don't want to clean off my desk because the receipts are too deep? Why are you resistant? And then to make a strategy to help ease some of that stress, and to find that place, and to be nice to yourself.
Yes.
There are days when my goal is I've got to hit 5,000 words, and I laugh because that's invariably the day when something happens and I'm looking at 1,500 words going, where am I going to make up that other 3,500? It's one of those things. You sometimes we set goals that should be stretch goals. And to hit our stretch goals, we need to have SMART goals, those smaller pieces along the way, and we need to be nice if we miss. I think that's the thing. Sometimes we get into these habits where I didn't hit my goal. I didn't go for a walk, or I didn't have, I ate 2 candy bars instead of eating something healthy, or whatever the reason. And then we beat up on ourselves and we cause a negative feedback loop, and we just give up. And I think you have to have a strategy in place for that too. Don't you think, Cynthia? I think sometimes
I'm wondering why there's this big, bright, shining light on my arm, but that's okay.
You're glowing.
I'm glowing. One arm. No, absolutely. No, I totally agree with you. And Jim actually put a comment up about don't get upset if you don't hit your daily goal. And I'm going to profile that now, because it's so true, is that, we are so good at kicking ourselves in the duck when we make mistakes, when we have a bad day, and then we kind of shut down. And what Regan is saying is that, be gentle with yourself. And that I always post this on social media. Not every day is going to be a super productive day. But what I do is that, so for example, if I am so busy with appointments, and health and fitness is such a huge thing in my life, and if I don't get it in, I'm really ticked off that I can't get my exercise in. But if I know that I can't do that, so what I do is I'm gentle with myself, and I say, you know what, I am going to tomorrow, I'm time blocking double time or making that up. If I don't get as much done on website that I want, or a speaking presentation that I'm doing, okay, you know what, get some rest, recharge, tomorrow I got to hit it hard, and you just push. And one of the things in entrepreneurship, which I think is really important, is that yes, you need to have a shutdown time, but this might help somebody, is that if you're feeling really motivated one day, maybe push that little extra for the other days in the week that maybe, an emergency comes up, something unexpected comes up, you still feel good about what you've done because you did that little extra on the other day. I'm sure you do that with Regan.
Yeah. There are days when Anybody who's followed me on Facebook for any length of time knows I've had this saga with the heat pump.
Yeah.
And I think for 2 years, every time I had a book release, there was something going on with the heat pump as well on those days. So yeah, there are days when you're not going to get a lot done. Sometimes I'll go back like after dinner and I'll say, okay, I'm just going to take, before we get into whatever we're doing for the evening, I just want 20 minutes to go back and touch base with this project or touch base with this idea or try to get just another 100 words in. I just try to take a little smidge of time. A lot of times I can do that on the same day, or I build it in extra, like you said, you build in a little extra time in the following days. But sometimes just taking that few minutes to touch base with the project that you didn't quite get all the way done, and then walk away from it for the evening and come back refreshed, it helps make those connections, and the rest of your world can kind of work along with those connections. Am I making sense, or am I just losing it with the voice here?
No, you totally got it. And you know what? I had the aha moment because that thing I forgot 3 minutes ago came in, so I just wrote it down. No, it totally makes sense. So it's one of those things that, you know what, when you're feeling good, if you're feeling like, you know what, you can totally, push it a little bit, without overwhelming and burning out yourself out. That's super important. And then, you know what, those days, like we said, you know what, give yourself some kindness on the days that you're not feeling it. I want to see Dave Moore. I haven't seen Dave here in such a long time. Hello. Wow. Old friends. Yay. Not old, wise friend, but someone that's you have made a commitment to complete certain amount of daily tasks to reach your goal, but what you fail to complete one day, put them at the top of the next day's list. Exactly, Dave, and get them done first. Don't start the next day's list without completing your leftovers. Okay, yes, absolutely, Dave. So much appreciate you being here. There's a couple things, two things I really like us to address. This broadcast is flying by. I would love for you all to know, for us to know from you, are you getting some golden nuggets out of this? Are you taking notes? Are you have some mental notes? Are you writing it down?
Having tea.
Yeah. Have some tea. Is that one of the things about critical versus priorities? Bill Roy put this comment in there saying that everything else seems like it's more important. I hear that a lot, that, you know what, I have so many things to do. And I always ask the question of what's critical to do and what's, not critical to. Everything's critical. I have to get everything done. And I always say, no, that's not true. You know what I mean? It really isn't true. Everything is important in our lives to get done. But there's certain things, okay, that, that we need to get done and that are truly high on the priority list. So I will always say, and I know Beth will be jumping up and down on this, but if you don't have your health, you know what I mean? If you're at risk of, having a heart attack, you know what I mean? Is that you can't enjoy your kids. You can't enjoy what you're doing day to day. Is that what's the point on anything else? So right. I will always say, Regan, as a business owner, as a wife, that, you know what? Your self-care, we have to try to put that on the top of the list. That's critical.
Yes. Somehow.
If you have it up here, if you're like, just mentally going crazy, you know what, you're so stressed and overwhelmed and your body, you don't feel good about yourself, everything else, you may be able to get away with it for a while, but it's all going to come crumbling down, because if you don't pay attention to your health now, you will be paying for it later. So self-care, for those of you that don't exercise and say you don't have the time, I don't feel bad for you. I'm like, you know what? I really don't. Is that we all have the time to do something. Is that it has to be critical. I can tell you of so many examples of people that have had strokes, heart attacks, diabetics. You know what I mean? They can't move. They've had surgeries. You know what I mean? Things that they could have controlled. Got to take care of our health. Do you understand? Does that make sense, Regan?
Yeah, we all have, the thing is, we all have something going on. I mean, honestly, we all have something going on. And if you're not going to do the things that take care of you first, I mean, you can't run a business if you're in adrenal failure. You can't, and like you said, you can't enjoy your family if you're in the hospital for other conditions. There are plenty of things about our health that we can control and that are vital. And you find a little bit of exercise, a few improvements in your diet, actually have such far-reaching changes that they will positively impact your business too. And you don't have to think about, I have to work out 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's not what's required. But taking time for yourself one way or another, if you're not taking care of yourself, what is the point?
Because so, you know what, I do want to bring this up because, you know what, I know that some people are going, you don't understand. You know, Cynthia, Regan, you don't understand. We do understand. You know, Bill is saying it's difficult for me to justify doing something for myself because I have so many family and work demands. So what we're saying is start out with, like Beth Hoover does, a 4-minute workout.
Yeah.
If you can't find 4 minutes in your day, we've got a huge problem. And I'm talking about all of, I'm not directing this to anybody. If you do not have 4 minutes in your day while you're making your breakfast, you can be, you know what I mean, doing squats, you know what I mean, while you're waiting for the pancakes to be done. Is that laundry? You can go up the stairs, up and down the stairs 3 times. We all can do something. So, Bill, I'm going to tell you this, is that you have so many work and family demands, is that if you don't take your health into account, if you don't take care of yourself just a little bit, is that guess what? You will be put on the top of the list and you won't be able to take care of work and family demands eventually down the road if you are in a place that, you know what, that you don't take as good care of yourself. So I'm not talking about an hour and a half at the gym and you're taking off and your family, you know, is there on their own. You know, again, baby steps. Mm-hmm. Right, Regan?
Yeah.
In self-care. Thank you, Bill. Agreed. Yeah, right? Yeah. And you have to, you know what, gosh, I wish we could, I have to get off within 10 minutes, everybody, but let me tell you something, everybody, is that you have to, this was one of my points, and there's a couple big points that I want to put out there. You have to let people know that, you know what, that your health is important or something is a non-negotiable, something that's really important to you. Bill and everybody, if you told your family, hey, listen, I want to become in better shape. I want to be a more fit father, or I want to be healthier. I want to feel stronger. I want to feel good more about myself. Any reasonable person is going to say, you know what can I do? Yeah. You can lighten the load. You can delegate. You know what I mean? Hey, listen, I just need 5 minutes to myself to exercise. I just need 15 minutes to myself. We have to develop a non-negotiable. We have to speak it out, set some boundaries, and say, hey, listen, I can do all of this for all of you, family, but I need 15 minutes or a half an hour to myself, right? We have to do that.
Yeah, you have to do it. And I will say it is not easy. Having been, you know, having been the caregiver, having, you know, a stay-at-home mom, it is, you know, being a stay-at-home mom and working at home, you're thinking, oh, that sounds ideal. No, there are 1,000 shiny things that can pull me out here. And my kids are 25 and 22. But it is not, I will say Cynthia is absolutely right. I second everything that she said. It is so essential to take care of yourself. I will second this as well. It's not easy. We know it's not easy. We're telling you this because we've had to do it. Right. We've both been in situations where we've had to say, hey, look, you know, I can manage all of this for you, but this has to be my time. And it is not easy, but it is essential.
Right. So you, again, not saying yes to everything. You know what, when someone puts demands on you and says, you know what, I need you for this, I need you, everybody needs something, but you need your health, you need some stuff too. So you have to be able to say no, you have to say the uncomfortable no, but you know what, you're going to totally get used to saying it, and people will get used to it. Again, one of the things that used to be like, really, like, if I went to go visit family at home, if I go do anything, is that one of the non-negotiables is for me to work out in the morning, whether it's with family, whether it's that, listen, I'll do anything for the 23 hours of the day, but I just need 1 hour, you know what I mean? Preferably in the morning. I would like to be able to go take a walk, be able to go do something for myself. They, you know what? People get used to it. So you have to flex that muscle. You have to flex that muscle. So whether it's meditation time, writing time, you know what, shutdown time. I just need 15 minutes alone just to breathe. Create that for yourself and don't feel any guilt. Everybody can take it. No one's going to, hopefully, no one's going to die for you removing yourself for 15 minutes, right? So, all right. Let's see. So the final point that I really, one of the things I wanted to talk about, Regan, is that you got to have the right kind of systems, for yourself in order to have discipline, and I'll start it off is that, what, you may hate walking, you may hate running because you don't have the appropriate footwear. You're trying to go really cheap in that. And I understand that people sometimes don't have a lot of money, but, or, what, they're so frustrated with technology, and it's one of those things, you don't have the right tools to be able to do what you want to do. So whether it's writing, whether it's health, whether it's exercise, knowledge, training, is that it helps when you have the best information and the best tools, right?
I agree. You have to, it's kind of like self-care overall. You have to invest in your success.
Right.
You have to invest in your success. You do that first of all with your own personal health and success, setting those boundaries. But then you need to do it in your business as well with the right tools, or in your fitness as well with the right tools. Like you said, you can't just go. I don't even have a good example other than what you gave. You really do need the right tools, and you need to know what's right for you.
Right.
Sure, sometimes finances come into play with that, but you really do need to make the best investment possible to make your goals a reality, so that you're not miserable getting there.
So everybody just think about, your goals, why do you feel stuck? Do you feel like you don't know how to get from A to Z? You know what? Find the best person that's going to help you figure out an organization system. Maybe if you need to clean up and clean out, maybe you need someone to come in and do that initial sweep. You know what? If you don't know how to write, your book, and you're feeling stuck and you can't be disciplined because you don't know how to go from A to Z, reach out to Regan, right? She's got mentoring services that can help you with that. If you need an accountability partner, in the beginning, sometimes it's really difficult to have that internal discipline. Maybe for, 2 or 3 months, you get an accountability partner. You hire a mentor, that's someone that is going to, send you accountability emails, videos, whatever, giving you tips and tools to keep you motivated and be that cheerleader if you don't have cheerleaders in your life, which we could go into all of that. But the thing about discipline, there's something in your life that you're not getting done that's really critical that needs to be done. And so to address that question that Bill, or that statement that Bill Roy said, what is critical and what's a priority? For me, health is critical. And you know what? What else is critical is making sure you can pay your bills. Okay, that so if you're not doing stuff in your business and you're fluffing around on social media, what could shut you down? So your health could shut you down. Financially, you could be shut down. So that, to me, really helps me align my goals and saying, you know what? If I don't exercise, I don't take care of myself. You know what? I'm at risk at this, I'm risk at that. If I don't focus in on my business and make those sales calls or do what I need to do, you know what? I might get out of business. And also relationships is that, spending time with family. What if something happened to them today? Would I regret not spending time with them? So for me, Regan, it's really those 3 things: family, health, and making sure that financially I'm taking care of business.
Yeah, and I think that applies across the board for all of us. I mean, it really does. We cannot go through life just completely alone. And you had said it earlier that as a solopreneur, you like to be able to check through your tasks. I will say one thing that I tried this year when we're talking about discipline is I got myself a paper planner for the first time in years. And I just started off small. I looked at all the real extensive fun things, and I thought I'm going to spend more time working on my planner than I am working. So I started off kind of small and simple, but it has been very, very helpful. We're through 1/4 of the year that I can go through and see my word counts. I can see my exercises. I can see, just to be able to see a tangible track of my goals and my progress. The planner has really helped me stay disciplined, and I'm right there with you. If I'm not in my particular situation, I have to take care of myself or I feel it literally. So, that is a priority. And then after that, family and business, what are the things that are going to make the biggest impact, that are critical to maintaining strong relationships and doing the things that are going to keep me financially solvent? And for me as an author, of course, that's writing. And then the rest of it has to come around. Social media is very important for a lot of entrepreneurs, but you need to be smart about how much time you're putting on Facebook and how much time you're putting on efforts that actually bring in more business.
Right.
So thanks for being here, Dave.
Yeah, thank you so much for everybody being here. I so appreciate it. So, you know what? I hope that all of you got some things out of it, is that, please catch the replay for all of these different nuggets. Is that this is one of the biggest things, we all struggle with. And like we said, we're not perfect. We're here to share some tips of some things that we're really strong in the areas that we're disciplined at. But you know what? We also have to apply these to different areas. So everybody, as a reminder, what is that one thing that you are struggling with to stay disciplined on? Write that down, catch this replay, and take some of these nuggets that Regan and I shared and start applying them today. So I want to say thank you, but Regan, I would love for you to give you an opportunity to be able to give us kind of an insight of what's happening now, what's your latest project, what are some things that you're working on, and where can we kind of dive into your world to see your projects and get your books and that sort of thing?
Well, you can see everything that's going on pretty much. You can catch up with at reganblack.com. I'm also here, my fan page, Regan Black Author. I think it's facebook.com, reganblack.fans, I think is the actual link. But you can look it up. I've got a fan page here, a lot of stuff going on. The big thing coming up is I have a new book release as of May 1st. The book will be in stores as of May 8th. It hits stores a week after the release date. But I'm very excited about that release coming out. I have a new project underway already. Another book coming out in July, and a third one in December, and then some other things in between. So there's always something going on, and in between that, I like to, I don't know, writing's what I do, so there's always a new book or some project.
You do. I know. I'm blessed that you were able to come out of the writing cave for a little while.
You caught me right between.
I know, like right after this broadcast, you're going to be, getting back to it. So everybody that's still here are catching this on the replay. Again, if you're on the replay, #replay, let us know what was one of the biggest things you got out of this broadcast. I would love to know. Regan would love to know. I am heading out for a few hours for those of you that are catching this on the live broadcast, but I will be uploading this to YouTube. This will be replayed everywhere. So we would love to hear your comments. And by tomorrow, I would love to address some of your comments in the chat stream. So everybody, I hope you got something out of this. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. David says, congratulations to you, Regan. She rocks.
Thank you.
She rocks. And we'll put her website information. If you have a chance to, go in there, Regan, to put your Facebook page, definitely put that in there. And so everybody, I appreciate you being here. Lots of exciting projects coming up for me as well. Stay tuned, stay on the page, let's stick together and let's keep each other, motivated and disciplined going for our goals. So with that said, everybody, have an awesome afternoon and evening. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Regan. You totally rock. I appreciate you. Everybody have a great day.